In this next example, I'm going to make 3 or 4 rectangles, and I'm going to skew them with the bounding box and the move tool. The first thing I'm going to do is change my color, but I think when I do this, set it on, it changes the color back. I don't think I might have done the wrong thing. Oh, there you go. I did a fill color and a stroke color. I'm going to take that fill out and change my stroke color to orange. After I change that to orange, I'm going to lower the weight of that. I think I'm just going to type it in this time to 1 and make it a dash line too. I really like the look of a dash line. After we do that, I just wanted to show you there are more options to change. You know, these are just basic things that we can change, but effective. I'm going to hold Command down to distort the selection, and holding down Command, you can adjust each corner and kind of have this very customized. I'm after this kind of like perspective look where one side, I want it to look as though it's further away from you than the other. And I'm happy with that, and so I'm just going to copy and paste this, or alt drag it. Alt click drag, you can copy the layer. Command J, you can do copy paste. You can do all sorts of things to duplicate this. I actually have a hue saturation adjustment layer that I'm going to turn off right there, and it changes it back to my yellow planet, and it makes those orange lines show up a little bit better. I'm going to apply a mask over my lines. And I'm trying to see the best way to do that. And I think the best way to mask it is to actually mask the lines on the bottom to make it look like these distorted shapes are around the sphere. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to apply a layer mask to that first line, and I'm going to grab my paintbrush with, I think I'm going to grab a 100% opacity brush, and I'm going to pick a hard brush this time because I don't want it to have fuzzy edges. Well, not yet. So there we go. I'm just going to mask out that top section. I'm actually masking out the wrong side, so, but this is what masking will do if you do it. And if you make a mistake, it's perfectly fine. You can paint in white. So I just hit X here, and I can paint that over again. I can, undo that mistake and get that mask back out again to reveal that. Remember our mantra, black covers up and white reveals. So there we go. If I paint black on the bottom line, that's what I want. So I'm going to continue painting black on all of those bottom lines. I'm going to apply a layer mask. I'm going to paint this middle line out with black with my 100% opacity brush in black, and it looks like that line creeps out right there, and I'm going to paint that third line and mask that out. And with that done, now it looks as though these distorted shapes are going around the sphere, and I really believe that spatial arrangement there. But there's one thing that's bothering me, and that's the idea of atmospheric perspective, which we'll go into in a minute. the idea of atmospheric perspective is that anything that involves the atmosphere, which could be dust, haze, pollution, fog, even smoke, all of these atmospheric type scenarios can affect how we view things at a distance. So in this case, if I use those mask layers and paint with a low opacity black, so I'm going to take my opacity down to a low opacity, and if I start masking out the lines that are in the back of these shapes, not a lot, just a subtle amount, right? I don't want to make them disappear, but if I can slowly tease those out and away, just so that there's a hint of those lines, visually, I believe that there is a lot more going on here, that there are dust particles in space, or that there's some kind of atmospheric perspective going on that is visually telling me that, oh, okay, because the lines on the top are in full opacity, those are closer to me than the lines in the back that are going behind. And it's just another element to add to your work, this atmospheric perspective, to sell believability. Now, of course, this scenario of these lines going around this sphere is very stylized. It reminds me of 80s video games, right? But there are some things that we can take advantage of, right? We can employ these terms and these uses of perspective and atmospheric perspective, just to help that believability just a little bit more. So in atmospheric perspective, the further the object is away from the viewer, the less we can see it, okay? And we can see it at the less we can see it at full opacity or saturation. So again, we're just teasing out and masking that a little bit. We're going to do another example here in a minute. In this scenario, we're going to use our elliptical vector tool to draw a swooping curve. But in order to do that, we're going to have to rotate our vector to get a nice swooping curve, because as it sits right now, we're going to have to rotate this to get that really nice swooping and elegant curve. And I think it looks better at an angle. Again, I've added in that dash line, which I think I'm going to go ahead and modify, but I'm going to select this vector, and I'm going to actually rotate this using our move tool, and we're going to just rotate that a bit. And I'm interested in the bottom half of this ellipse, or the bottom right quarter, right there. And we're going to mask out everything else that we don't need. So I'm going to add in a layer mask, and then we're going to add in some atmospheric perspective. So I'm going to mask that line even more. And we're going to do something special with this. But take some ideas from this, use them and try them out, and add in your own kind of space related elements. I've always been fascinated with astronauts and space travel, so play around with this, have fun, and we'll see you next time, guys. Take care.